In May, the South African Police Service released its latest crime statistics for the period of January to March this year to members of Parliament. The stats showed that assault with grievous bodily harm against women was on the rise, with more than 15,000 cases reported, while 969 women were murdered in the first 3 months of the year.
The laws regarding protection or recognition of women's rights across the board, be they socio-economic, violence, etc., are generally considered to be very progressive and recognise the various aspects of inequality or lack of equality for women. And when we refer to violence in particular, that has been recognised as an obstacle to equality and a barrier to equality. So Parliament has effectively, to a large extent, passed a number of pieces of legislation in relation to women and to address violence against women and gender-based violence. But probably one of the biggest issues we have is around implementation.
Anneliese van Wyk chaired the Police Portfolio Committee from 2012 to 2014. During her tenure as chair, she often grilled SAPS about the poor implementation of these laws.
But we need action. And I would say, first of all, and I know the Domestic Violence Act have been reviewed, but I don't believe that the changes that should have been made there were actually made. So what should parliamentarians do? Parliamentarians should look at the legislation critically. Look at where are the shortcomings? And there are shortcomings. I mean, there are no perfect legislation in this world. So address the shortcomings.
MPs serving on Parliament's multi-party Women's Caucus agree that issues affecting women should transcend the annual Women's Day debate.
We don't really speak about what solutions need to happen. It's almost that we get up on the podium and we make political statements, broad political statement strokes, and the questions are rehashed. So what we debated last year is what we're going to debate this year, is what we're going to debate next year. And I often say this when I do my speech in Parliament, that I'm sick and tired of using the same topics. Let's make this debate meaningful.
Parliament's efforts are often confined to summits, workshops and talk shops, which doesn't affect real change in the lives of the women we are elected to protect and serve. With regards to gender-based violence, it should be Parliament's role to ensure that we win this fight. Parliament needs to move away from its haphazard approach of dealing with this crisis, which often takes the form of yearly debates on the matter in the National Assembly. Instead, we need specific interventions.
One of the most important things for us to do is to demonstrate leadership in the values that we embrace as organizations, especially as political organizations, and at a parliamentary level as leaders across political parties. And I do not think we have been successful as political leaders to unite and to show strong leadership in that regard.
In 2019, following a wave of incidents and attacks on women, President Cyril Ramaphosa raised the matter of harsher penalties for perpetrators of GBV. Following this, GBV and sexual offences laws were tightened with a raft of laws amended. But is this where Parliament's work ends?
The powers of the National Assembly, which include all of the committees, is really to maintain oversight of the legislation, including the National Executive Authority. And the issues really are that Parliament, in the forms of their various committees, are not necessarily providing enough oversight on the implementation of legislation, in the sense that they are not scrutinising that legislation closely enough to see whether it really is affecting the lives of women on a day-to-day basis.
South Africa's laws have also seen more women serve in high-ranking positions in government than ever before. These laws, however, don't cut across all sectors of society. And with the females' unemployment rate still higher than males, this leaves them lagging behind when it comes to socio-economic opportunities. And this places them in vulnerable positions and at a higher risk of facing abuse. Abra Barbia, SABC News, Parliament.